Still on the unrest in Tunisia, Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Aboulgait and Tunisian Foreign Minister Othman Jarandi have discussed the latest political development in Tunisia. This was disclosed in a statement issued by the Arab League, which noted that Aboulgait and Jarandi tackled the presidential decisions made by the Tunisian president in a telephone conversation. And now the Arab League chief on his part voiced full support for the Tunisian people, expressing hope that Tunisia will restore stability and security soon. Joining us live on News Central now to discuss the unrest in Tunisia is RABEB ALOUI, Tunisian journalist and environmental activist. Hello RABEB, thank you so much for joining us on the news at this time.
Thank you, it's good to be with you today.
Okay, so we've had so much reports from Tunisia and it's facing one of its biggest political crises since the Arab Spring, with the suspension of the country's parliament and dismissal of the prime minister by the president. Do you think democracy is at risk in Tunisia, as some have called the move by the president a coup against the constitution?
Yes, I would describe the situation as confusing, and the democracy might be at risk, especially after yesterday protest in front of the parliament. The Tunisian street is divided today. Also, the political parties are divided between who are against President Kais Said's decision and who are supporting him, especially young people. And I think the future of Tunisia today is blurring. We don't know yet what will happen. At the same time, I think the freedom of express is threatened, especially yesterday after police officers entered to the office of Al Jazeera and prohibited our colleague, the journalist working for Al Jazeera. They prohibited them from covering the protest. So I think we need to keep a vigilant eye today. The parliament, the speaker of the parliament, the president of the parliament denounced this action, and he described the initiative of the president as a dictatorship and a constitutional dictatorship. At the same time, protests who took the street on Sunday, they welcomed President Kais Said's decision, and they described him as man states and as a hero, as they demanded the fall of the regime. If we focus on the slogan used on Sunday's protest, we can see that the same slogan that we heard a decade ago during the Tunisian revolution are now coming back. Protesters called for the fall of the regime. So we can imagine the frustration and the anger of Tunisian people. That's why mostly the young people welcomed the decision made by President Kais Said on Sunday.
Okay, let's look from this angle now of people who are expressing, or rather commending, the president's move. Now, some would say that this is due to the staggering, or rather the trickling coronavirus cases and, of course, the economic downturn in the state. Is it the fault of the parliament or the government that we're having these problems there, as they have commended the president?
Well, for, let's say, the protesters, it's their responsibility. They condemned the parliament and the government for the deterioration of the situation. And for me, I can understand this frustration and this act, because during these 10 years, nothing is done. The rate of the unemployment of young people increased. We have in 2020 we have around 18% of unemployment rate. It was around 13 and 14 2 years ago. So the unemployment rate is increasing. The poverty rate is increasing. People can't find jobs. People can't find opportunities to achieve their dreams. So I think it's the responsibility of the government, who is, let's say, deaf, who didn't do anything to help these young people, to help them to achieve their dreams. At the same time, it's the responsibility of the parliament, because they spent the whole these 2 years without taking action, without executing new reforms and new laws in order to facilitate the procedures for these young people who tend to build their own project. Today in Tunisia, it's so hard to make for example, a private project. It takes you months and years. So the parliament did anything for them. So it's their responsibility too.
Okay, so we're having faults on two sides now, both the federal government and the parliament. Now, the response of the president to the violent protests has further shown the political division in the country. Do you think the president made the right call in his attempt to restore calm to the country?
It's hard to say if it's the right or the wrong decision, because the period now is so critical. You have the demands of the people, and you have also these legislators and these laws. I think for me it's better to listen to these young people and to take action. It's true that it's good to listen to the demands of the people, but they really need action. They really need reforms. That's why I told you it's confusing. It's blurring, really. We don't know what will happen next. We are now without parliament, without a prime minister. So he needs to appoint a new minister in order to take action and to build this new future of the generation. At the same time, I would like to mention something that the prime minister, Hisham Messichichi, the former one, he delivered a statement last night. He said that he accepted the decision made by Qais Said on Sunday. So finally, he admitted that he was responsible, and he admitted that the president Qais Said made the right decision. But at the same time, it's confusing, you know. He used the chapter 18 in the constitution, but this chapter is so complicated. It's true that according to this chapter 18 in the constitution, he has the right to do so, but at the same time, he didn't met with the president of the parliament, the president of the government, before taking this action. That's why it was a shock for them to listen to his decision on media. So the situation is still confusing. I would describe the Tunisian democracy as in its biggest test today.
Okay, RABEB, now apart from the admission of guilt from the former prime minister, what impact will the suspension of the parliament for 30 days have on Tunisia's democratic process? I mean, Tunisia is a young country in democracy, a decade since the institution of democracy in the country. So what impact will the suspension of the parliament have on the country?
Well, I think the economy will be badly impacted, because right now we are negotiating with the monetary fund. So we need a new law. So it's quite difficult for now to deliver new reforms or new laws. At the same time, the president, he announced yesterday that he will deliver an extraordinary measure. So we still now, as I told you, for the appointment of the prime minister, and later for these extraordinary measures in order to continue, because the parliament is blocked now. We can't do anything. We are still waiting for this next speech he might deliver in a few hours, especially after meeting with the national organizations yesterday. So he said that after his meeting yesterday, he will announce a new measures, and we still don't know anything about this.
Yes. Okay, in one of his statements, he said he would announce, or rather, just like you said, he would announce a new parliament. Now, the president, using his executive power to institute a new parliament, wanted once again dampen the democratic process in Tunisia.
So we don't know if it will be a new parliament. He said only that he will suspend the work of the parliament during 30 days. And in August, normally the parliament takes the vacation in August. So we don't know if he will go for example, an early election. He might do so just after appointing a new prime minister. But at the same time, I find it difficult to go for an early elections and to form a new parliament. The political scene in Tunisia is already polarized and already in tension. So talking about an early election now at this time, it's a little bit difficult. I don't think so, really.
Okay, what other things? I think one of the major issues was the trickling of coronavirus cases, and that the government didn't handle it well. In your own view, how do you think the government should have handled the coronavirus surge in a way that it wouldn't have a faster spread in the country?
I think the decision made by the Ministry of Health was too late. For example, for the vaccination campaign, also for the condition of the hospitals. I mean, they took some decision to build new hospitals just 2 months ago. Imagine, although the pandemic started 1 year ago. So when the cases increased, people can't find a place in the hospital, couldn't find even oxygen. We struggled with the oxygen months ago, and the government just took the right measures just 2 months ago and 1 month ago. That's why there were tension between the president of the government and the health minister. So I think the bad decision at the bad time made this situation, this health situation. We knew about the pandemic since, let's say, January or February 2020. They should have taken the right decision at this time, not in 2021. Really, we are suffering from bad conditions in hospitals, and they knew about this already, but they prefer to buy new cars for the ministers, and they prefer to put money on projects that are not even fulfilled. You see, the priority, I think, it was the pandemic, not the cars for the ministers.
So in other words, more proactive steps should have been taken to curb the spread of the virus.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, RABEB, for giving us more insight into the development and, of course, what is going on in Tunisia. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at this time.